Try to keep the noise down. Greetings. This is Doc Ock coming to you live and direct from Black Facts headquarters this afternoon. Yes, it's just a little bit afternoon, and we're just getting started with our day today. The proverb for today is, a single stick may smoke, but it will not burn. And that is a proverb from the Gala people of Ethiopia. A single stick may smoke, but it will not burn. Yeah, think about that one for a while. You know, I don't give you insight into proverbs. I let you think about them for yourself so you can unlock the mystery of the proverb. Poem for today. It's one by me. I picked this one because I thought it went along with our theme for today. And it's called, what? America has two systems of justice. America has two systems of justice. Why would that be? Well, let's see. America has two systems of justice because of one single fact called slavery. Slaves couldn't vote, and they damn sure couldn't speak in a court. America has two systems of justice. One keeps some on top and others on bottom. Who's who and what's what? All depends on how you got here. America has two systems of justice. One for the colonists who came on a boat, and another for the heathens and the non-believers. America has two systems of justice because white's always right and black has to get back. Brown can stick around, white while yellow's a threat, and red's better dead. America has two systems of justice. It's totally natural. If you know your history, it shouldn't be a mystery. One system for givers and one system for takers. America has two systems of just us. All that's left to figure is who are the givers and who are the takers. Poem for the day by Doc Ock. Okay, now we're continuing on with our story here of Dr. Crosby doing it the hard way. And we're up to the point now where he is about to enter the Army. So let's see, where did we leave off at? I believe we are over here. Yeah. Let's see, make sure I'm in the right place. Yep. This is it, all right. Okay. So, where we left off at, must have left off over here. Yeah. I'd been advanced a grade or a full year. Now, instead of being in the 12th grade, I was taking 10th and 11th courses. In 1949, 2 years before I was slated for graduation, I met up again with a girl I had met earlier at Alexander Hamilton Junior High. Her name was Shirley G. Redding. Shirley G. Here she be. Shirley G. It was this encounter that led me to consider really changing my ways, which was not easy given the gang I had associated myself with, the Satans. My attempt to impress Shirley literally forced me to change my behavioral lifestyle, settle down, pay attention to being educated, and let the Satans go. Shirley was serious. To win her favor, I must. Oops, wrong page. Okay. I must clean up my act. I began adjusting my behavior in school to meet Shirley's challenge. I changed my school locker. In fact, I stopped using my locker and started using hers. I even enrolled in the typing class she had enrolled in. The only problem I had with this class was I seldom came to class with a pencil, typing paper, carbon paper, and a typewriter eraser. I depended on Shirley to provide the essentials, but I did learn to type. I learned so well, eventually I was able to convince my mother to help me buy a typewriter, a Royal, I found in a pawn shop window. The typing teacher thought otherwise and promised to give me a grade of a C if I promised not to enroll in her class ever again. I accepted her bribe. However, the time I had spent attending her class with Shirley served my present and future ends well. Beyond tightening my relationship with Shirley, I also learned a skill that would serve me well after graduation. Indeed, I used those skills I had learned later in the Army and in college on numerous occasions, and as I laboriously type the tome I am working on at this very moment. Fortunately, my wayward activities at Alexander Hamilton, my truancy at East Tech, and my early misbehaviors at John Adams served to retard my graduation year. While a student at Our Lady of the Blessed Sacrament, I was advanced a grade, a full year ahead. Had I not been a truant, had I not lost a full year raising Cain, I wouldn't have been in high school with Shirley, who, after trying, and believe it or not, more in pleasant times, reconstructing my behavioral image, decided to marry me. It's strange how one's life seems to... Oh, where was that picture at? Oh, I thought I had it here. Nope. It's strange how one's life seems to have been preordained. Shirley was born in Cleveland in the same neighborhood I was born in. She on 64th and Woodland Avenue, and I on Short Scoville near East 64th and Woodland, and later lived on Outhwaite, both a short stone's throw from Woodland Avenue. Shirley was born on November 29, 1932, just 25 days after I was born. Her parents moved to Mount Pleasant soon after or shortly before my parents did. She lived at 3635 East 144th Street. I lived at 3353 East 132nd Street, like Shirley, off Kinsman Road. A few years later, seeking better housing, my parents moved to a roomier single-family dwelling at 3254 East 130th Street, just one block away. Shirley and I attended the same junior and senior high schools, Alexander Hamilton and John Adams. Shirley and I graduated together in 1951. I was a student at John Adams a year longer than was standard. As I said earlier, had my wayward behaviors in public school not retarded my year of graduation, Shirley and I would probably not have graduated from John Adams together in 1951. And we would not have married 5 or 6 years later in 1956, after I had been drafted into the military in 1952 and had served in England until 1954 and graduated from Kent in 1957. That was a lot. Okay. And what else did I show you here? Okay. Nope. I don't have another ones here. Nope. Don't have any there either. Okay. So soon after moving to Mount Pleasant, I began trying to imitate my oldest brother, Fred, who was 4 years older and whom I idolized. On the streetcars and later buses in our neighborhood, I would invariably meet people who, to my delight, would mistake me for him. We looked so much alike. We slept in the same bedroom, sometimes in the earlier years in the same bed. I wanted to do everything Fred did. I wore his outgrown clothes and his Stetson shoes when I had grown older. Wherever he went, I wanted to go, but he wouldn't allow that. I learned he spent time in the Kinsman pool room on the corner of East 130th Street and Kinsman. So I also wanted to shoot pool there, but learned I couldn't enter the pool room. I was ejected from it because I was too young. You had to be at least 18 years old to shoot pool there. I was no older than 16 and would be 17 shortly. However, I had always been told I looked like I was older. To try to look older, I began smoking cigarettes and standing outside the pool room. The Korean War broke out in 1950 and the pool room door opened. In short time, I learned if you were 18, you were supposed to register for the draft, at which time you were presented with the draft card, which indicated you were at least 18 and eligible for the draft. And of course, old enough to be in the Kinsman pool room. I was still in high school, a junior or senior on the verge of graduating. The Korean War, or the lead up to it, was in the news, and all potential male graduates 18 and older were dreading the impending draft. I decided this was my chance to gain the right to join my brother. The draft registration office was on East 131st Street, a few blocks south of Kinsman. I registered along with other potential draftees, and no questions about my age were asked. With this license, I not only would be where my brother hung out, I could also learn to shoot pool, a game in which I became quite proficient in relatively short order, proficient enough to win occasionally a tidy sum shooting 9-ball. I was also pretty good shooting straight pool. At one point, I was good enough to beat at 9-ball the pool room's manager for a good amount. I was proud of myself, especially winning in the neighborhood while Fred looked on. I believe he recognized then I could shoot pool better than he could. In my soul, I had become a man, just like Fred. A year before graduation, I received a notice to report for the draft. Damn, what should I do now? I thought my goose had been cooked. I didn't tell my mother or father about the draft notice because I didn't want them to find out about my hanging around in the pool room and my registering for the draft early just to be able to do so. I decided to return to the draft registration office, which was located a few blocks from my house, a block or two south of Union Avenue and Copper Plea. So I busied myself rehearsing it. There was no other recourse because if I didn't, the frozen chosen, here I come. When I arrived at the draft office, I showed the black lady behind the desk my registration card. Where'd it go? I showed her my registration card and told her I had faked my actual birth date on it so I could be allowed to shoot pool. As I remember it, I showed her an official document with my birthday on it. It might have been a report card or some other school document. My mother didn't control. The lady scolded me soundly about this criminal act, told me not to engage in such activities again, and thank God, voided my notice to report for the draft. Shortly afterwards, my brother was drafted and stationed at Fort Campbell, Kentucky, not too far from the border of Tennessee. He was very lucky, for he spent his 2 years in the Army at Fort Campbell, the home of the highly decorated 101st Airborne Division, the Screaming Eagles. The most derogatory name for this paratrooper division was the Pukin Buzzards. However, you'd best not utter it in the company of a member of the 101st Airborne. My brother you must also understand, was not a paratrooper. He just happened to luck out. He was a basic trainer of those who would in time become paratroopers in the 101st Airborne Division. This was also my lucky period, for I benefited from his being drafted. All of his clothes, particularly his suits that fit, and the shoes he left behind devolved to me, along with his gray 1949 Ford. I was most appreciative of his leaving the bed we used to share for a year or two. It was now much more comfortable without him in it. When Fred was discharged from the military, my father bought him a used 1950 Pontiac with money he had saved, meaning his brother had saved. The vehicle was in very good condition. One Saturday, not long after he had been discharged, when we were working at our father's underground clearinghouse station, I asked him if I could borrow his vehicle to go pick up Shirley from her office job in downtown Cleveland. Fred agreed reluctantly. It was raining this Saturday morning, and before I started downtown, I went to pick up my best friend, Robert Wade. He wasn't at home, and I had spent too much time looking for him. I would now be late picking up Shirley downtown at noon. She'll be peeved with my being late again. I took off speeding, not paying attention to the fact it was raining. As I crossed 93rd and Kinsman and speedily approached the bridge over the railroad junction and repair yard, I had to quickly stop to avoid hitting a transit bus. This action, coupled with the wet street, caused me to lose control of my brother's Pontiac and run into the bridge's railing. Fortunately for me, the car got hung up on the iron fence's steel grating, which prevented the vehicle from going over and into the railroad engine and freight car repair yard. I'm guessing 50 or more feet below. I was not hurt and managed to get out of the vehicle without causing it to go on over. When the police arrived, before they started asking questions, I told them it was my brother's car and gave them the phone number where he could be reached and asked them to call him. Before they could call him, someone driving in the opposite direction recognized me, noticed the accident, and informed him before the police could. Then I was ready for the barrage of questions from the police. Showed my driver's license, was examined to see if I'd been drinking, and asked about insurance, etc. Frankly, I didn't give a cat's ass about the police and their questions. My brother was the problem. I feared having to contend with it was his coming home car, which he had saved for. He had not really had a chance to show it off to the neighborhood. He hadn't yet had the pleasure of taking the ladies he had missed for 2 years out for a drive. Then here I was, his wayward brother, wrecking his vehicle. I apologized to him profusely. However, there was really nothing I could say or do to assuage the hurt I had just caused him. Moreover, he had loaned me his car, knowing what I'd been prone to before he was drafted. Okay. Things controlling my behavior hadn't changed much. Damn, Shirley, I had forgotten all about her. It was too late now to meet her as planned downtown, where she worked a half a day on Saturdays. How can I clean this mess up? There was no way for me to call her to let her know I had had an accident. She and I had already fussed about my always being late for our dates. My excuses had always been weak, too. This time I hoped would be different because I really did have an accident on my way to pick her up. I could have been killed. It wasn't an excuse. As such, she would come right by the scene of my accident on her way home, for she would take the Kinsman bus home. Streetcars have been discontinued not too long ago. And it would travel right over the bridge where the accident occurred. She might even have seen the very site where it happened. Well, when I meet up with her, she was very upset. When I met up with her, she was very upset. My story, even though true, didn't satisfy. From then on, I had to not only be contrite, but careful not to violate her expectations anymore if possible. Yeah. All right. So we're going to break off right there because our time is definitely up. And we'll pick up from there on tomorrow. Meanwhile, I hope you all enjoy the rest of your day and get some work done and have a little fun all at the same time. In the meanwhile, while I go on with all my rhymes and try to avoid committing any crimes, just remember, we're still in the process of collecting funds, resources, volunteers, donations. We need some assistance here in doing what we're doing because we're already overtaxed to the max. So if you don't mind, we love it if you could make a donation right below. If you're on Facebook, if you're on YouTube, go to our website to the donation page. You can make a donation there. If you have any problems doing that, let me know. You know how to get in touch with me through Facebook or through YouTube. And in the meantime, this is Doc Ock signing off. I'll be back here tonight at 9 o'clock. Look for me then. In the meantime, peace out without a doubt.